today's intro song on the push. Yeah, because it's kind of like I'm interested today in talking about note playing, right? And when I talk about note playing, I definitely mean playing notes, right? And I'm gonna get rid of. There we go. So, like, the idea that note playing, well, what's note playing, you know? Well, it's when we play notes on a device, right? And just like our counterpart, Move, they broke up the notes in a different way, right? So, this is something that we're hoping that starts to change on this device, is that we get the option to run it in fourths like we do here. And if you type the word scale or touch the word scale, you'll see here that it says fourths, it says thirds, and it says sequent. So sequent is the way that this plays over on this side. So like the idea that when you play a scale, you got to play it like all the way across the device. And here, one-handed, you can do these runs that are just like super fast, right? So the idea here is if you actually switch it to chromatic mode, right? And I'll put it in minor just so I can show you what I'm talking about. See how it's laid out in front of you this way now as the scale? So chromatically, they still show you the lights. You have the accidental notes, but it's a cluster that's like you run it this way instead of having to run it all the way across the pads. So I feel like here I can push this button and that's the same scale, right? So if I was doing B minor as well over here, I'm kind of more used to playing it that way, up the physical pad, right? So the idea that when you go in key and you got to play it it's a little different, you know. You kind of have to get like, you have to readjust your playing when you get on the move if you've really been used to your push. Okay, so it feels like a really strange way when you play notes, and that's what today's about, is like, how do you play notes on a push and how do you play notes on your move? It's stuck in sequent mode. You see, like, sequent? Like that. So, well, excuse me, when I play a scale, you can't play with one hand because you gotta like, you gotta like jump. Where when you play it in fourths, or you play it in chromatic, so I can use one hand to play the actual entire scale up the device. So let's take a look and make a song here on Move. Let's look at how the notes are laid out and how that affects how we write a song. And I'll show you the tricks and how you can accidentally use both modes to kind of teach you the way you're going to write, you know. So what I mean by that is, let's say we pick a drum beat and we start laying drums. So we're laying out drums, right? And I just simple on the grid as I could, right? And I'm going to duplicate it, go to the second bar, just make a variation, right? So now if I go to the bass sound, now Now, this is the idea that I'm talking about. Now, if I was going to play, I either have to be prepared with my hand, or I got to take it and put it in chromatic. Because then I can play more like I'm used to playing a scale on a guitar, right? When you put it in this mode, it's not exactly the same. And to say that it's like a piano, maybe it's more like that, right? It'd be more like piano playing, right? So now you know what key you're in. Here, you know what key you're in. The lights, the brightest ones that are the color of the cubes, the clips themselves, are the ones that tell you what the root note is, just like here. I got my root note, right? And here I got my root note. So if we were playing accompaniment, see how you can kind of like see here. I could potentially not play with two hands that way. If we were in fourths, you would actually be able to play your because I could probably do the same about an octave and a half here if we had the fourth settings, right? So I feel like the big wish up would be that in the update here. Now, if I'm playing over this beat and I go into key, all right, 1, 2. All right, there we go. And I slightly quantize, right? Now, here's maybe why I would say using a chromatic key is going to be better. Alright, so we got a sound, we got our playing. Now, I could play now, that keeps us playing chords within the structure of the key that we're in. So that's like the easiest way if you're not really good at playing chords. But if you're better at jazz, the idea that you're going to turn this into chromatic, alright, so see that? Like if you want to play the accidental notes, so you'd have to play it in chromatic, right? So I did my bass line tuned to a key, but then I typically play my notes on the piano line in chromatic so I can make accidental notes across the move. So when I hit record now, I'm going to play see that? It sounds more kind of jazzed or bluesy. So that's how we're going to play the next part in. Ready? So there, see? You can see me hit notes that are not in the key for a split second. And that's leading to a note on the keyboard. So a lot of piano players lead to a note with chromatic notes, and you have to say not in key when you're doing your piano line. When you do your bass line, well, maybe you want to stick to the key. But when I play my piano line, I actually want chromatic notes inside of there. So you'll hear right there, right? Because when you play a chord, right, Right? You hear how nice that sounds? If I'm going to play the chord and I accidentally throw in a 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the flat fourth, you know, or flat fifth. It's the tritone is what it typically is in jazz to make things sound funkier, right? And that takes us away from this robotic, I can only play techno on this thing. No. You can play jazz, you can do whatever you want. It's putting in chromatic mode. Now you're going to hear the chord. When I play my lead, same thing when you play lead. Alright, now, this is the trick I do when I solo, so you guys know that I cheat, right? Say I want to play some really good blues scale, and I want to play fast. I would basically put this into that scale. So if we were playing a B minor, I'm going to just say B minor blues, right? And watch what happens. So a lot of times, if you're picking a minor named scale with the main minor scale, sometimes those are ways to collide shifting sounds and not always be playing everything in the same structure, let's say key, but it sounds really good together. Okay, so in talking about using Ableton and the notes that you play inside a Move, the trick is shifting what quantized key you're in. You know, when you play the bass line, you play it in like minor. When you play the keyboard, you do chromatic. When you play the lead line, you play it in a blues scale, right? So this is our outcome. Right, and I'm going to hit record on this one. Ready? So that was a couple of bars of it, right? It says 8 bars to be exact. Right, but that's how I did it. This was in regular minor when I played the bass line. So I just went minor, not minor blues. So I played it like, right? And when I played the Rhodes, I put it in what? Chromatic was the trick, because I played. See, just like that, it's I lead the fifth note gets led by the half step prior to it. Anytime I play a jazz chord, so that fifth, so I lead any chord if I'm playing it jazzier with a sliding note into the fifth. I play that chromatic note. And that's no matter what. So if you're playing a chord, you hear how much like, it's a little funk to it, right? Or like blues. And hear that? So chromatic is what opens that doorway for us to do it, right? And that's how I played the key line, right? So if I'm doing it again, go blank. Here's my drum beat. So we're going to do a little different one. Yep, made a new beat. The bass line, I'm going to do it in B minor. All right, here we go. Ready? Made it easy. And again, I can play it like this. Notice that the chord disappears, like my fifth's gone. I actually have to go here to play that chord, that cluster. Which, if I was playing it chromatically too, that's the other trick, is that look at how nice the clusters are if you're in chromatic. It's a lot better, you know? And I know for a fact that I started here. So that was my first chord, and my second chord was the third. It was like a cluster. It'd be like that. See how much closer still in chromatic? The chord clusters are closer when you're in chromatic mode for the notes on move. So that's another reason when I play my chords, I usually put it in chromatic mode, right? And we know now if I'm going to practice, I'll talk over it, right? So that's the first chord is this one, second chord is this one. So alright, I'm going to play them and I'm going to add my blues in a minute, the funk in a minute, right? So just get the chords in and you can do your accidental notes on the second pass around as an overdub, and that's usually the easier way to do any of this, right? So, ready? So I did the chords, right? And if I want to add a note, see, I can add that blue note for just that split second. Ready? I add it for like a... You can also add the seventh and extensions here because I'll go an octave up. See the high note. Seventh. I'm going to add 7 on the next time around. Ready? So. Alright, so now my hands weren't trying to jump on each other by playing these bigger chords. I played the chord the first time, you know, and then I played the extension the second time around, and I played the blue note the third time around, right? So if your hands don't have enough room here, you have to sometimes also play things as overdubs, right? And that way you actually get more of the result that you're looking for. This is a pretty funky house, right? Like, and again, what I do here, my other secret trick is now I switch this into a key of a minor blues or minor pentatonic. Anything with minor leading it, harmonic minor could do it too, but it's usually like a minor pentatonic or minor blues that I play over top of that. So it'll sound like... The minor blues has a chromatic over the 4 flat 5/5, and the minor pentatonic does not have that. It sounds a little more normal spaced. The minor pentatonic is typically going to omit the 3 and the 7 to not allow you to know what your chord voicing is, right? So here we go. We're going to lead with a flute and a minor pentatonic over B minor bass line and over B minor and a little bit of chromatic B keyboard line. See, those 2-finger chords aren't bad. I'll mess with that. Ready? And that's how we make music with different styles of the keyboard. We actually broke it up in 3 different keyboard styles to play over top of ourselves. I'm going to do another quick example here in a minute. The first riff. Alright, not bad results, but could we do it with different keys and see if we got, you know, let's say similar results as well? So I'm going to skip a space, leave some blanks, and I'll show you guys again one more time. Basically, I pick a sound, and we're going to, yep. So super easy. Right. And again, this isn't to make it hard. You know, this is to make it as easy as I can do it, right? So in the bass, the key that I'm going to pick is super easy, and that's shift with the note. And I'm going to say this time we're going to just do A minor, right? So I'm going to pick A minor, which is the key of C major, so I'm doing it really easy. If you want to play at home, you could just play all the white keys on the piano. If you want to play on your push with me, you could as well. And then again, in this instance, I'm picking a tempo. I'm going to just, yeah, and then this time I'm going to play the chords first. So, right now, if I'm in the key that I wanted, which was A minor, all the chord voices will match up, like a 6 chord, 1 chord, 2 chord. So we're going to do 6, 1, 2. So that's my progression. So I'm going to record it. Here we go. Ready? Oh, sorry, I missed that. There we go. So I played the chords. Right. Now this is what I was telling you before, that if you're not the best with chord playing or you want to voice a little more later, if I go back to chromatic, when I play a chord, I can throw in so it's only those 2 chords I like it in. So get ready. I'm going to do my blue note, and I'm just going to overdub it in chromatic mode from the note mode that we were in before. So all I did was 3 notes, right? A lot easier than stressing yourself out, trying to hurry and play something that doesn't make sense. Now, back to the bass line. So I might play a couple accidentals in the bass this time, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, it's that leading the 5th. You'll notice that all the time. A lot of good bass players lead the 5th with a flat note, or an accidental we would call it, or an inharmonic tone. And that's what we're doing here when we shift it into the chromatic mode and not always playing in a quantized version of the scale, because you lose those notes. So we're going to record the bass line. I'm going to turn it up a little bit, and I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to hit record. notes crappy, but I'll leave it. Alright, so you're seeing that when I lead that note with the solo as well, that actually adds all of the magic of a good soloist that we kind of start to like. I think I'm going to stop the stream here because there's been so much music theory that we've talked about that I think everyone's seeing why I like the difference between a chromatic grid and a quantized grid. The quantized grids are when I'm playing my chords and I'm trying to get my note values down in a more very basic block way, or play a bass line that I want directly in the key. And then I go into chromatic mode typically when I play chords. A little better sounding when you play your chords with an accidental note here or there, right? So I think practice that on your move next, or your keyboard, or your push. Get into the habit of, I'm going to play in minor for something, and then I'm also going to play in chromatic to maybe glide across some of the notes that are accidental notes in the key that you're playing within. Alright, well, 30 minutes in. I hope everybody likes the stream. If you want to subscribe or click the like buttons, you know, it just helps me have statistics to know to keep making videos of the content that people enjoy. Today was on the note value and notes inside of our different instruments, but specifically in Move, we talked about how note value works itself out. Hopefully everybody got to see, you know, playing notes with Move and using Ableton. The intro song today was Ableton Live, so proof that I still use Ableton software. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming on and checking out the stream. And again, go out there and practice music, practice making music with note or push, and practice quantized keys and practicing your key signatures. Okay? All right, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day.